Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome back to Fallout 4. So today we're at Graygarden again, and as you may be aware, if you head over to Bunker Hill in Fallout 4, you can pick up a caravan trading post item from a quest there that will allow some of the traders around the game to stop at your settlement, so like Lucas Miller or Cricket and the like. So via mods, fortunately, we can replace this large and slightly clunky item with just a rug that does the same job, around which I can build my own bespoke structure. So that's what we're doing today. And as a quick reminder, here is Graygarden, if you want a reminder as to where that actually is. Just up from Overland Station, there's Western Water and the Cambridge area. We are sort of a third or so of the way down the map. Got starting area up in the top corner there. So yeah, on your way down towards Boston proper. We've been here a little while. And as we are doing a modded build, here's a quick overview of my mods as well. And USO is the big one there, with lots of bits and pieces that we'll be drawing on. Well, there's a few other bits and pieces as well. Having nice sunny weather helps, and used OC Decorator very briefly here, and very briefly. And scrapping mod is helpful to a point, but not completely. A few other good bits and pieces that we're using for our stream as well. Workshop auto exit being extended is also very helpful for this one, because we've got a bit of a long run around later on in the video. So, here we are on the downhill side of Graygarden. There's my robot workshop over there that we did in the previous video. I'll link that somewhere around. And I've tried a few bits and pieces out here, and this is sort of where I settled. This area with the trees to the right is kind of a pain in the neck, but I do want to put something in there, so we'll be coming back to that in a minute. For now, I'm going to grab this one floor and two extra bits, and group select them in, and sink them into the ground up against the junk fence here, just over on this side, so it looks like it's kind of part of the environment, and the wasteland is maybe reclaiming the floor a little bit, and it's been here a while. Ground's a bit awkward here with sinking things in. This whole side of the settlement, particularly this area near the trees, is kind of a nightmare for sinking stuff into. Mods or no mods or whatever, it's just frustrating. So getting this in place is a bit awkward, but we managed okay. So I tried a few ideas and it was problematic for those reasons. Got a little bit of a floating going on at the back there. Could kind of ignore it because it's going to get hidden by a lot of other stuff in a bit, but I do like to make sure we're properly supported. So a couple of cinder blocks, group select with a pillar, and we'll be able to just tuck that underneath and provide a bit of support. As I say, it's going to completely disappear in a bit anyway, so it's a bit academic this, but I'll know, won't I? There we go. So I tried a bunch of different cloth structures here to try and come up with a cool kind of vibe that was somewhat similar to the original item, and it turned out to be a pain in the neck to do in this space in particular. Pain in the neck in general, but in this particular space it was a bit problematic, so I decided to put a wall in there and just use this wooden roof with a retexture from USO, and the wall just means it snaps in at the right height and stays directly above the floor, so I don't have to struggle with aligning it, which is helpful. We're going to grab a half shack wall, just move that one in, don't need to do anything fancy with that, it'll just slide nicely over the floor and into place, and we'll repeat on this corner here. This whole structure is going to kind of be sort of tumbling down from the back left corner to the bottom right, you know, it works quite well. Over here we're going to extend this out a little bit with a shack wall here. These things are absolutely brilliant for junk walls, for scrappy buildings, all manner of stuff. They're added in USO. So I fuffed around to get this into place because the ground is being awkward, and getting ourselves positioned to groups like this is a bit of a nightmare. There we go, we'll get there eventually. Now I can line this up and just carefully move it into place on the back. It's going to kind of stick out, but that's fine. When we're finished it'll look good. So let's get that lined up there. Nice scrappy back surface to this structure we're building. Okay. Now we need to connect this to the corner of the roof, otherwise it's going to look awfully floaty. This should do the job. I did try this shack wall originally, but it's just a bit too short. It needed some extra stuff to give it some support, so the wall we've just put in does that really nicely. Now we can group select this in behind it and sort of merge the two together a little bit, like this. And I spent a while doing this, so we'll speed that process up a little bit, and we can have the whole thing nice and supported. Cool. So, now we need to support the front of it, and this was way more time consuming and a bit of a problem, so I'll speed this along a little bit, but In general, you can see I can't really get that pillar to sink in close to the floor where I need it in order to be able to group select the wooden post that we've grabbed from the wood fences tab there. USO again. I can't get that into place because my pillar won't sink in close by. So I'm going to try something some of you guys suggested on my last couple of videos, which is use a campfire to allow me to sink the pillar through there. To be honest, I think I will be filing this one as an absolute desperate last resort only option because it works, kinda, but it's not particularly great as far as glitches go. I might have had more luck by sticking a conduit on the top of the concrete pillar here and just doing the whole thing from a bit further away because, yeah, this took me about 15-20 minutes just to get this darn post in. Well, the 2 posts in, really, because we've got another one coming up. It didn't sink right through the middle of the fire. It was more like off-center, and the whole thing was... it worked. But, yeah, it's definitely when nothing else works, this might save you vibe, I think. I'd rather stick with the old classics. They're classics for a reason, you know? But it did allow me to get the pillar in when the ground was being darned awkward. The post, rather. So, it did kind of make life, if not easier, at least successful. So there we go. In addition to the bag of tricks if needs be, I guess. However, I finally got the roof supported. We can continue with the slightly less frustrating parts of the build. So, this particular bathtub is standing in for a Brahmin feed trough and may get replaced later when I actually pick up the caravan post and then can use the invisible rug that will make it work. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work and where Brahmin will appear and things like that, so this is sort of a provisional setup. I might have to fine-tune exactly where the bathtub is, maybe put a feed trough in, maybe not. We'll see. But that's one to judge when I've actually got the item in place to kind of play around with and figure out. For now, this is sort of a provisional, semi-finalised shape. It looks pretty cool. But I rug glitched the bathtub in there because it really didn't want to go in place and sit close up to that railing, so the rug glitch allowed me to overcome that slight collision issue. Couple of bits of blue plywood there, add a little bit more interesting colour to the floor. I could have used a rug, except that it kind of clips through that particular piece of flooring because it's got the plywood surface to it. I do notice putting some furniture in here, and jumping on a little bit though, that I really don't have enough space, and if Brahmin are going to get involved in this, it's going to be an absolute nightmare. So I want to extend things out a little bit and rotate that bathtub 90 degrees. So we'll stick an extra floor in there, it snapped in just fine. A couple of extra railings on. Extend this whole thing out a little bit. Now I can just flip this bathtub around, and that'll be where hopefully the Brahmin will be standing when we get the final thing done. So, pulled some bits and pieces out of this decoration here, the furnishings. Going to keep that chair in the corner there. That's from one of my mods, makeshift furniture pack that I've got, I think. And I put that one sofa in at the back there, and I thought it'd be really good to have another sofa with a sleeping bag on it as an extra bed, and then we'll have enough places for 2 caravan guards and a caravaneer to sleep when they stop by. So, we're going to put an extra couch in here. I needed to move that one out of the way, so that should work along the back wall there, although we'll need to move that couch a little bit forward because the overlap there is not ideal. There we go. A little bit of rearranging there. Nice. And we should be able to put a sleeping bag on the top. So we're just going to group select this in, and now we see that the sleeping bag is way too wide. It's going to either stick off the front too much or not fit. So my master plan here is sort of eyeball it so I know what height the sleeping bag's going to be. And now I can move this in freehand, get that floating where I need it to be in the end, which is going to be about here. This actually went right first time, which was quite remarkable. That looks pretty good. And now, once Piper gets out of the way, we're going to rug glitch the sofa in underneath the sleeping bag, and that should overcome our slight collision issues that we had before. And doesn't leave floating invisible rugs sticking out off the top of the sofa either, which is why we did it this way around. With a little bit of patience, it looks weird while it's moving around, but once we're done, it'll look about right, I think. There we go, that looks pretty decent. So the last bit of decoration I want to do here for the moment is just grab this lantern, nearly forgot the word then, and I've got the one with the handle sticking up because I'm going to group select it in so it's technically hanging in midair, but it looks like it's attached to the roof there. Nice. The other bits are easy, you just kind of stick them on the wall, but that bit was a little bit more interesting. So, I spoke about the side with the trees before, and I want to put an extra structure in there so we've got enough beds and places for people to crash out. And I'm going to use this boxcar. I'm specifically using the one that's open at both ends because it's the smallest of the lot, and I can group select it in a bit more easily. With the ground being so awkward to place stuff in on that side of this settlement, building this outside the walls on the lower side of the slope here and then group selecting the whole finished thing into place is going to be way easier than struggling to get the pillar to sink actually inside the settlement where it's going to be finishing off and ending up. So that's why we're out here, and we're just group selecting some half walls and some railings on just to seal up the back edge of this structure. As I say, I could use the sealed up one that's, you know, comes finished, but they are a bit larger and this is kind of a confined space, so I don't want to use any excess space. I want to have the room for caravaneers, guards and Brahmin to move around, hopefully. We'll see whether or not it actually works out that way on down the line. I have to check the streams for that one. But for now, we're going to move these railings in just to finish closing this up. It won't be a perfect fit on the back, but you won't really be able to tell once it's in place anyway. It'll look pretty good. And if it looks a bit scrappy, that's fine. It's supposed to look scrappy. So we'll just kind of merge all of this together. A little bit of patience to get that in place. Group select doing good work here. And it should just about sit in. Maybe a little further to the left so we don't have a big gap. There we go, that looks like it. Nice. I mean, the breeze will still get through, but that'll leave the job. So, testing my group select plan a little bit here. We're going to move the whole thing around. Good, that's working so far. Stick it over here where we've got a bit more room. And now we need to put some furniture in. So this rug is a bit smaller than most of the others and will go in, but because I've already put that back wall in, it sticks off the front a bit more than I want it to. So, not entirely happy with that. So my master plan here is to rug glitch it into place. That's way too big, so we're going to use a chain of 2 small rugs. And as it turns out, this contact point with the floor is that the game uses to know whether or not the rug's in the right place is in the middle of the rug. So I need to use a chain so that the invisible rugs underneath will actually reach far enough to contact the rug and actually allow me to move it around. So I want to use it so there is a minimal amount of invisible rug sticking out so that it's not getting in the way of stuff. We won't be able to see it sticking out, but I don't want it causing problems with other things, so that looks pretty good. And we can move a bed in. Speaking of, the other thing that this rug is doing is allowing me to place furniture inside this particular boxcar, because for some reason, some things will sit on the surface of the floor, some sink in, some won't place at all, so having a rug there overcomes all of that. And of course it looks good, so we're going to grab a bedside table, stick a lamp, go into AC Decorator and grab a alarm clock, stick that in there, go into Creative Clutter mod, and which may be a mod or a Creation Club, and I still can't quite figure out which, and we'll drop that on there. I think it's a mod, actually. And get some luggage under the bed as well. Good. It's coming together quite rapidly now. Stick a couch in, well, a chair rather, in the corner. That looks good. Perfect fit. Look at that. A couple bits more decoration on the walls here. Do the job. Got there. Oh, that'll be fun. Stick that on the outside. Nuka-Cola sign? Why not? Tuck that in there. Looks good. So the last thing I want to do is just put one more wall just across the front here. I've gone for this particular corrugated one because it's just the right shape for this size. It hides the bed, doesn't take up too much room, there's plenty of room to get past it, and the kind of ragged edge looks good. So, we're going to group select it into place now. As you can see, we've headed back inside. We have a long run round, but we made it. And there's a little gap in the ground here that I should be able to group select this in so that the inevitable clipping is not too obvious. And should look pretty good when it's in place. Actually, this went surprisingly smoothly, if I'm honest. I was expecting to have more problems with this than I did, so no complaints. We'll just carefully get that into place. Looks okay. It's a bit wonky. That tree's clipping a bit much. Turns out it's not too much of an issue. You can't really tell when I'm done, but it's not ideal. So unfortunately, even with mods, I can't remove these trees, which is very, very annoying. Otherwise, I might be able to use the space a little bit more practically. But that's straightened up. It looks pretty good. I'll have to add a bit more decoration and move stuff around just a little bit and add some stuff to make it look a little bit more permanent. Should work out quite nicely. So let's grab a staircase, put that on the front. And this went particularly well because I was able to just slot this just under the rug there. So that should make the pathing from the stairs into the boxcar a little bit more smooth for any NPCs wandering around, hopefully. So, on that note, I'm going to grab a couple of extra bits of decoration, make this look a little bit more permanent, and we'll take a tour in just a sec. So here we go. Here's my robot workshop on the right. A whole bunch of extra bits and pieces added down here, and I'm quite pleased with how this came out. I added some extra shrubs in the back there, just to make it look like it looks a little bit more permanent, kind of hide the back a little bit. A couple of cinder blocks down there, just to kind of, again, make the whole thing a bit more solid. Come back to that in a moment, because here's where our Brahmin will hopefully hang out on this side. We've got hay bales and a hitching post there that are they're added by USO, the Nuka World add-on for USO. Gives us those options, which are quite cool. A little place for our caravan guards, caravaneer to hang out, sit, sleep, relax while they're here at the settlement. A little bit of shelter from, well, any vertical rain at least. There we go. All in all, not too bad. Added a whole bunch of extra plants. Added that little burning barrel over there. Just give it a little bit of light, a little bit of interest. Tucked in a junk wall that sunk quite low there, just reversed up against the outside of the boxcar to make the whole thing seem a little sturdier as well. And I think it came out rather well. You have plenty of beds, plenty of space for our caravaneers to hang out. My only real question is how the Brahmin will do. That's always the question, isn't it? So there we go. I hope you guys like that one. I'm quite pleased with this little structure and the way it's come out in a quite awkward corner of the settlement. If you did like it, gave you some ideas, please do consider dropping subs and likes. I'd very much appreciate. Down below, got social media links, merch store, channel memberships, all that good stuff if you want to support the channel that way. Massively appreciated, really helps out. Join us for live streams as well. We're playing Fallout 4, we're playing Fallout 76. Got some other bits and pieces of base building survival goodness on the go as well. So do join us for all of that if you get the chance as well. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.